We have to be ready to deal with that adversity that's coming. And we have to stay committed to our plan. I think that's really a big piece of this too, is the pivot. Your plan only fails if you give up.
That's
you know,
right.
you can pivot that plan a million different times and continue to figure out how to make it work. The issue becomes when you actually give up. And a lot of the time people give up is that first adversity, that first moment of adversity, when they're not ready, then they abandon the plan, they give up.
Good morning. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty. Joined by Robert Palmer, Founder and CEO. We are sitting in LPT headquarters here in Lake Mary, Florida. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
We're having a little event here at the office, executive retreat.
Yeah.
I think we have a slide for that, Davey. I know I'm calling for it out of order, but if you want to throw that up there. So again, this is our commitment to Motivation Monday. We're in the middle of this multi-day executive retreat. There you can see how the room was when the lights were on like 10 minutes ago. We've got folks from all over the country in here for this executive retreat, but we shut it down so we can get ready, do Motivation Monday, and then we're going to go back to it.
Yeah.
But,
I actually feel a little nervous today. I don't know why. Like in front of all my peers, I'm like, I got to do a good job here. Most of the time, there's no one judging me, at least not in person.
Someone's always judging.
Yeah, someone's always judging.
Man.
Yeah. What is the purpose of this retreat? Just so that it provides a little context.
Yeah, look, I think obviously we're growing a lot. We're scaling. There's a lot of exciting things on the horizon, and we're bringing everybody together to really lock in and focus on these next couple of quarters. We got a lot of things to get done and get perfected, and we're seeing a lot of growth right now. We're seeing a lot of I'd say diversification of what we're building, and so we're just making sure we keep things rolling and winning for our agents. And we've got an amazing leadership team here coming together, and we're solving all the world's problems, man. It's what we do.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool to hear the focus of the group and how everybody's thinking about how they want to improve some process somewhere. And so it's a commitment that we've got, as a culture internally, that we will always find the problems. We may hit a ditch, but we'll get out pretty quickly, and we're going to continue to try to figure out ways to avoid that. So super excited.
The amount of caring in the room, I think, again, I'm really proud of it. You talk about corporate culture. We talk about our agent culture, our team culture. What does the overall brokerage culture look like? But I can tell you at the highest levels, the culture inside of this executive leadership team is they care about every one of your individual definitions of success. They care about doing a good job. They care about, again, when we do get off in the ditch, how do we get the cart back on the road as quickly as possible? And that's really what we are locked in on right now is, how do we always continue to improve agent experience? How do we continue to fix little things in the system that will break when you scale a company as fast as we have? I mean, again, 4 years old, 7th largest brokerage in the United States. We're going to probably process over 100,000 transactions this year. I mean, just absolutely insane, the growth and the scale. And, other companies had 10 years to figure this out, 12 years to figure this out, 15 years to figure it out. We've done it in just 4. And, having this leadership team that cares so much is really critical to that. We couldn't do it without it. We would not be able to grow as fast as we have, to scale to the size we have, to create the level of success we have without a group that genuinely cares and shows up each and every day with that willingness to lead from the front, willingness to care, willingness to roll up their sleeves and get it done. We don't have any glass towers. We don't have folks that are, sitting around reading reports. Everybody here is diving in and rolling up their sleeves and making sure that you have the absolutely best experience possible. And I'm really proud of that as the CEO of this company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to jump right into some industry updates. We continue to kind of follow industry news. And again, this is somewhat of the noise category. It's good to know because you want to be informed of what's happening. But again, you don't want that distract from the day-to-day of what you got to do to serve the consumer at the highest level. So industry news, where are we at in this new update? Yeah,
so I would say in contrast to how much our executive team cares, there are people out there who don't care so much, and so they are creating all this noise in the industry. And I think that really is what these headlines are about. So NAR is urging the Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission to issue clear guidance on MLSs, the multiple listing systems, that they're pro-competitive, that data sharing is okay. So again, this is to try to protect the industry against future lawsuits, future antitrust investigations. Again, noise. Again, dating back to not caring about the agents the right way, not caring about the consumers the right way, leading to, years of messes that now NAR is working really hard to try to clean up. And then secondly, on the listing guidance side, right? So we have this war brewing right now where everyone's trying to weaponize whatever they can get their hands on to weaponize. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing. And so first it was, we're going to weaponize private networks. and we're going to weaponize whatever. And now the current battle is weaponizing IDX and MLS's own rules.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have brokerages that are trying to weaponize their own MLS's rules against portals to try to get listings taken off of portals. And then that leads to this whole debate about, are portals good or portals bad? I think at the end of the day, the consumer is going to the portal. Like anyone who thinks they're going to change that, like, I'm sorry, like it's not going to happen. There's no world where consumers magically go back in time 30 years and come to brokerage websites. Like it's the reality. Like it's got to be said. It is the reality. The homes.coms, the Zillows, the realtor.coms are not going away. They have the apps installed on the users' phones. Everyone in America has created an account on one of these portals. They get email listing alerts from these portals. Like the idea that somehow, and I get it. Like it would be great. Like, for brokerages, for agents, sure. If the inventory was only on your thing's great. But the thing is now they're going to try to weaponize the rules. And so we're going to say, hey, we're going to have listings removed for not following this rule. Well, are they following that rule or not? Is that actually what the rule says? It's just very litigious. Yeah. And it's very distracting. It's very noisy. And again, at the end of the day, I think we're only hurting ourselves as an industry, right? And I think at the end of the day, like everybody needs to get around a table and try to figure it out and say, well, hey, because you think about the argument, right? Well, this brokerage violated, allegedly, right? This is the claim. This brokerage violated MLS's rules, right? By privately marketing listings outside of the window of time that is allowed. And so then in return for that, this other company decided to not show that brokerage's listings. And now the MLS is saying, well, you're violating our rules. Well, did you enforce the rules that started the whole thing, but now you want to enforce the rules? It's very interesting. And it's very nuanced by market. So again, like everyone kind of thinks of it through their own lens, and our local MLSs and every MLS across the country has different rules. And so again, we have this crazy fight going right now. And what I dislike about it is the impact on consumers, right? We are in a tenuous housing market. We are at 4 million annualized home sales right now. We're at a low point. We've had these big lawsuits and settlements and headlines eroding trust around our industry, which is unfortunate. And now, things are happening where all of a sudden sellers' homes are taken off of highly visible websites. Like it's just not good for any of us as an industry. And so I'm really less interested in trying to litigate who's right or who's wrong. I just think we should do it like a do no harm to the consumer, right? And that's where I think at the end of the day, like let's have the internal fights, whatever. But when these fights start to harm the consumer, when we're willing to harm a consumer to try to get our way, that's really where the word weaponizing comes in for me. Again, I don't challenge MLS's abilities to enforce this rule or that rule or whatever, but don't harm the consumer in the middle of the muck, right? Yeah. Don't take a consumer who is dealing with a real life situation, right? Like put yourself in their shoes. Like we live this every day. Hey, I'm a consumer. I'm trying to sell my house. I'm nervous. Maybe I'm past due. Maybe I have a financial need that I'm having to sell this home. Maybe I wasn't going to sell my home because rates are not where I want them to be. And I finally made the decision with the help of my trusted advisor, real estate agent, to go through the process and sell that home. And I'm nervous. And my listing is supposed to go live today. And all of a sudden I'm reading in the news that my home is not on the largest, most visited website for real estate traffic. Like, how do I feel as a consumer right now? And that needs to be the thing that all of us, I think about and put first. And that's not happening right now. And I get that brings up another interesting point. Like, well, how do we enforce the rules if we're not willing to explore the quote unquote nuclear option? Well, that is the nuclear option. I think there are a lot of ways to do things without the nuclear option. Use the courts, use the lawsuits before you cut the feed, right? Because what happened here is the consumer got punished. And then a judge came in over the top and said, no, put the feed back. Like, this is not right. We're harming consumers here. Like, do it the other way. Yeah. File the lawsuits and let the legal system decide if it's right or wrong, but don't harm the consumer in that window of time. And this is the thing that frustrates me about what's happening right now. And again, the problem is it's like, hey, the courts didn't rule with us, so now we're going to go this nuclear option or whatever. And I think it's really frustrating.
Yeah, it is really frustrating. And, I've seen some MLSs that are now playing with the idea of like a coming soon period. And that's actually pretty new. Like I saw it pop up in Stellar where there's going to be some portion of it for like, I guess, 2 weeks. It's going to be in a coming soon status. So, I guess our goal is to say, hey, what is the best way for you to utilize that period of time? Like that is what's focusing on the consumer is about. weaponizing the whole thing, like that's a different thing. What's the strategy now that this window exists for us to create the most amount of impact for the consumer in a positive way? And I think that's the message that we ultimately have to stay focused on, even though we understand what's happening at the larger picture. What happens as the landscape of these things change? What's the best way to help the consumer?
I think my biggest fear where we see this is we're getting to a point where the level of escalation, right? Again, like, do no harm. If we started there, well, feels like we're beyond that. We're going to go the bigger options. We're going to cause consumer pain to get attention, to get headlines as an industry. And I think it's a dangerous path to go down. And then when I think you have leaders that are now saying, hey, we'll lose too as long as they lose more, right? Like that's a really tough place to be coming from. And these are high stakes negotiations. There's a lot on the line. I understand all that, but again, where I am upset with the current state of things, when we're harming consumers, and this idea of like, well, I'll lose as long as they lose more. I think that when I see folks go to that place, like it's a really bad spot to be in. So it makes me nervous for our industry as a whole. We're going to keep staying out here and being that beacon of light and doing things the right way and making sure that we maneuver inside of all of this noise around us to make sure that we protect you well as our agents, make sure that we protect our consumers, their exposure, their ability to find their dream home as a buyer. Like that is what we are most focused on, and less so in positioning the brokerage itself, right? And I think that's where a lot of this is. I'm worried about your positioning as agents. I'm worried about your positioning with your consumers, and if that means we're not perfectly positioned, we're going to be okay. Like as a group, we're going to win. We win when you all win. And again, I think when we start making decisions as leaders that we'll lose a little bit less than the other guy just to make sure that the guy loses. I've seen this in other industries. I've seen this in other businesses. And it's a very dangerous path that we're starting down. It
is. Okay, we're going to transition into leadership in the press. Michael Valdez, our very own Michael Valdez, LPT CEO of International, was recently in the press in Canada. So what do we got there?
Yeah, so really cool. So for those of you who don't know, Michael wrote an amazing book called Fire Your Friends.
Yeah.
And so one of the Canadian magazines, kind of the Canadian version of Inman, called Buzz, picked it up. You had an op-ed mentioning the book, Who's on Your Ropes Team, which again is a throwback to The Mountain and the way he talks about that in his book, Fire Your Friends. So again, to all our Canadian agents out there, Michael just got back from an amazing Canadian tour. Michael did 4 or 5 provinces. He had to miss the last couple of stops. There were some flight delays, and getting around can be tough.
Traveling,
a couple of flights get canceled, and all of a sudden this like jam-packed schedule. Yeah. But spent a lot of time with our amazing Canadian agents over the last week. Spent a lot of time introducing new agents to LPT. And again, congratulations on the book publishing, the op-ed, and appreciate all the work he's doing in Canada to drive growth and drive success for our amazing LPT family to the north.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got weekly winners. You made a commitment each week.
Each week we have winners on this. And next week starts the road to FallCon. Yeah. So let's start with this. So remember, once you purchase your FallCon ticket, you go into a drawing, and every week we draw, and then we announce the winners the following week on Motivation Monday. And so last week we announced the prize was some special swag. So we're calling it off-market swag. So you can't buy this swag. This is like private listing swag, right? This is swag that is not on the MLS, swag that you can only get by winning. And the way you win is you buy your FallCon ticket. That puts you into the drawing. So the sooner you buy your ticket, the more drawings you're in, because we're going to continue to do these drawings each and every week. So let's draw this. And we had a couple winners this week. So let's draw the winners who get the special one-of-a-kind merch pack when they get to FallCon, which is going to be some really cool stuff that you cannot buy. You have to win it. So that's the weekly drawing. Next slide.
Number 1, Cindy Luckhart.
All right, out of Pensacola, Florida. Congratulations, Cindy. You are going to be a winner of one of our off-market original swag packs waiting for you when you arrive at FallCon this year.
Awesome. Congratulations. Winner number 2.
Alyssa Getzoff out of Tampa, Florida. Congratulations, Alyssa. You too will be receiving an amazing one-of-a-kind off-market swag bag when you get to FallCon in October.
Oh, Lindy Chestnut. Fantastic.
Linda.
I said Lindy.
You said Lindy.
Linda Chestnut. I'm sorry about
Chestnut.
that.
Out of Atlanta, Georgia. Little Georgia representation there.
All right.
So again, everyone who buys a FallCon ticket is entered in to win one of these drawings. And so then next week, we've got another prize coming up. This one's kind of cool. So next week, the winner of this one gets to drive a question, a topic that we will then address live from the stage at FallCon. So we're calling this one the direct line. So the winner will get to basically write a question related to their brand or business ahead of time. And then I will do a live deep dive onto that from the stage at FallCon 2026. And so if you haven't grabbed your ticket yet, grab it so you can be in all the drawings going forward. Congrats to today's winners. And make sure you grab that ticket for next week. And then also, this is a big week to grab your ticket because we're going to start the road to FallCon starting next Monday. So next Monday, immediately following Motivation Monday, will be the road to FallCon. We're going to call it 11:30, but don't worry, we'll take a 5-minute break from the time Motivation Monday starts to when the road to FallCon starts. It will be the link in Connect. There will be a tile for anyone who has purchased a FallCon ticket to be able to join the road to FallCon. I'm going to be leading all of these personally. Part 1 of 12 in this road to FallCon is next Monday, unlocking the power of IDOS. And basically, we're going to be spending time together to get you ready for FallCon, to get you to be thinking about what's coming next. I think these meetings will probably be 30 or 40 minutes, kind of similar length to what we do with Motivation Monday here. But we're going to be preparing you for FallCon through each of those 12 sessions. And again, all you have to do is have your FallCon ticket to be able to attend that road to FallCon session, which starts next Monday, June 8th. And then it all comes together in early October at the RP Funding Center. Yeah. So really excited about having an absolute blowout FallCon. I see a question here in the chat. What is IDOS? IDOS is your individual definition of success. And so one of the certifications we're doing at FallCon this year is how you become an IDOS guide, how you understand the IDOS of your clients. What are your clients' definitions of success? What are your people? What are your people's definitions of success? That's your appraisers, your inspectors, your stagers, all the people that you work with, your transaction coordinators, your team members if you have a team, your support staff if you're a solo practitioner, CEO, how all that fits together. Then how do you understand the IDOS of your family? How do you think about your family, and what are your kids' definitions of success? What's your spouse's definition of success? What are your parents' definition of success? How does that impact how you move through life? And then finally, your own individual definition of success. And so that's a big topic for FallCon this year on the certification track. And we're going to be talking about that through the road to FallCon. And outside of the certifications themselves, it is going to shape a lot of what we talk about. It's a core focus of how we built LPT. The reason we have the multiple comp plans, the reason we believe in real estate first, the reason we believe in agent choice is all about meeting each and every one of you where your individual definition of success lies. And so what I've learned through my business arc is really understanding how to identify and value and respect other people's individual definition of success has made me a better leader, a better business person, a better father, a better husband, a better friend, really across all aspects of my life. And so that's the IDOS that we're going to be talking about through the road to FallCon. And then there's a dedicated IDOS guide certification at FallCon through the certification ticket. And there'll also be some other general main stage topics on IDOS as well, but really important theme as we go through this year.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it a little bit today as well.
Yeah, we will. One thing that when I see that slide and it's like, hey, 12 weeks and then, it's October, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe
So it doesn't go right up. We're a little more than 12 weeks out. There is a gap.
I'm like, man, it feels like time's accelerating.
It's not the exact 12 weeks leading up. It's 12 weeks between now and FallCon itself, but we're not just 12 weeks away from FallCon.
Yeah, I was doing the math right there. I'm like, maybe I don't know what's happening here, but okay, all right. Well, I'm excited for that. And again, the value of that is that you have the opportunity to really understand how to get the most from the conference. Because again, we all go to the conference, we understand generally how to get something from it, right? You're going to hear a bunch of ideas, you're going to pull 1 or 2 or 3 nuggets, you're going to implement it in your business, you're going to make connections. Like we all understand the basics. But when you really go in deep diving in these topics and you understand what you're there to truthfully learn and perfect, or where the holes are in your business, now you can go there understanding the questions that you're looking to answer. And I think that transforms the experience of the conference. And so I'm excited for these 12 weeks to help people define what it is that they want from life, how they're trying to achieve it through their entrepreneurship, and then ultimately where gaps are in their business that they want to go learn more about. I think it's a fantastic piece and something really new that I don't think most conferences have like a pre-start to it. So very excited for that. But we're going to talk about
planning. Right. So a big part of this IDOS is how do you then use it for planning? Once you understand your IDOS, the IDOSs of the people around you, how does that then impact the way you plan, right? And so we're a lot of this road to FallCon is about planning for the conference, getting you in the right mindset for the conference. But we also want to talk about business planning, right? It's a good time to talk about it. We're doing our business planning now with the executive retreat going on here in Orlando this week and in the audience. So a couple of I guess phrases or I don't know, cliches that we use a lot between the two of us when it comes to planning. One is if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
You always got to be ready for what's coming next. And then everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And so these are, whenever I sit down to do any type of business planning, these are two things that really become top of mind. And so as we think about identifying our IDOS and then staying ready and then making plans, but understanding that those plans will meet resistance. They will meet problems. Like life happens, life will get in the way. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. How, as you're planning, you should be thinking about staying ready and then also being ready for that inevitable punch in the mouth, because every plan will meet some type of friction, resistance, or unexpected event that then causes you to pivot.
We have a little pre-show. Technically, it's just what I do because I'm a very physical person. When I love you, I want you to know that I love you by like kind of beating you up a little bit. It's just my thing. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense, but it's how I show you. And so
Hodge's love language is physical violence.
Yes,
That's really scary.
Yeah. And so I like to make sure when I see that phrase, I took it probably a little too literal. Dave, if you could play that pre-Motivational Monday clip for us.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, fantastic. Stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
We start Motivational Monday.
Was there a piece of that missing?
The clap came in a little later, but you get it. I still beat you up before every Motivational
So he
Monday.
like slapped me in the head at the start. Where is that at, Dave? That was the whole point of the clip. Like he like popped me in the head to start that clip.
No,
off.
I don't think it
didn't make the clip.
Yep,
Okay.
it cuts off too early. Yeah.
I would just know right before that he had like slapped me on the head. I don't know. That was your joke didn't land.
Yeah,
You know,
hey, people like it. You see all that, they like it. All right. Anyways, getting punched in the mouth.
You forgot what the clip looked like, and you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
See, he remembered the way it happened, which was he popped me in the head. I reacted, and then the whole get ready, stay ready. And so he's like, "We're going to show that today," and he didn't watch the clip to know that it doesn't actually show that part of the interaction. But that's how he remembers it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, still happened.
Yeah.
All right. So stay ready. You have to get ready. Punch in the mouth. Plans change.
Very violent today on Motivational Monday. Yeah.
How does that tie in, man? Like you've got a plan. Hey, we're going to go out there. We're going to execute this thing. We're going to do this. And then there's some backlash. There's something that happens that derails your motivation from what you started. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, always will happen, right? I mean, I think this is what we know as entrepreneurs. Like, there's a couple different ways people say this. Like the best plans have to survive first contact. Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth was the Mike Tyson version that I personally like. Yeah, the idea is yes, it's great. We lay down these plans. We have a plan. Everything looks great in a spreadsheet, right? Hey, I'm gonna sell this many homes this year. This is what it's gonna look like, or I'm gonna grow my team to this size, or I'm gonna add a showing assistant, or I'm gonna add a transaction coordinator, and we lay out these plans. And I'm not saying don't. Like I think business planning is critical. We want to absolutely do that. We want to set those goals. We want to set those plans, but we have to understand we're going to get punched in the mouth. And particularly in a market like this, I mean, literally everyone's looking at our industry, right? We have industry low home sales, competition's at an all-time high. All of these things are happening, and we have to be ready. And so there's a couple of things I think are really important from this. One, it doesn't mean we stop planning. Like it's like, well, why should I bother planning if it's not going to happen, or if I'm going to have this obstacle I have to overcome? That's not the lesson here, but it is having the flexibility and understanding. How do you let the plan survive? I think that's really what it comes down to is your plan, your commitment to your plan, your tenacity when it comes to that plan have to be strong enough to overcome the inevitable obstacle that you are going to face as you try to execute on your plan. If life was as simple as we got to draw the plan up and just execute on it, it would be very easy to do what we do, right? It would be very easy to succeed in this business. We wouldn't see the high failure rate that we have. And so again, we're going to make these plans. We're going to expect some type of adversity, some type of obstacle to come to us. And then that's what it's all about. That is what then tests you as an entrepreneur. What is your ability to pivot the plan, to modify the plan, to stay committed to the plan when that adversity thing happens, when that road bump, that roadblock, that speed bump, whatever it happens. And then that comes back to staying ready. Because we have to be ready for the fact that is going to happen. We have to know that as we execute on our plan Every day that goes by where everything goes according to plan means we are getting one day closer to the disaster.
Right.
We are getting one day closer to the obstacle. We are getting one day closer to the speed bump, the roadblock, the punch in the mouth, whatever we want to call it. Every day that goes according to plan is one step closer to the adversity. And we have to stay ready for that. We can't get ready for it in the moment. We have to stay ready for the inevitable adversity that is coming that will test our plan. And that is what makes a great entrepreneur. That is what makes a great leader. That is what makes a great real estate agent. That is what makes a great guide. Think about how many times you do this with your clients, right? You're taking your client through the home selling process, right? Let's go back to our example in Chicago. Agent has a plan. I'm going to list your home. I'm going to put it on all the portals. I'm going to do an MLS launch. And then boom, punch in the mouth, the portal goes dark, right? We have to be there. We have to be ready for the unexpected. We have to be ready to guide our clients through what is happening, be ready for ourselves. And so I really want you all to think about that as you are planning with your clients, planning for your business, as we're going through our executive planning here together. Those are the two important things. How are we going to stay ready for for the inevitable that's going to come? And how do we understand that our plan will be tested? Our plan will be challenged. Our plan will face adversity. Our plan will get punched in the mouth. And we have to stay ready for that. And that's really how I think about it. And so again, as we go through our business planning, as you go through your planning, keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're just about at the final moments for today. Want to kind of get your thoughts and what we should be thinking about, because I mean, we're already pretty much halfway through the year. We're June 1st, which is crazy. So you're thinking, you have maybe your plan in the beginning of the year. Summer, you've planned for your busiest months. Things are maybe not going in the right direction. You're getting back on the horse here now, and you're saying like, look, how do I stay focused and fight through that? We know that the adversity is going to come, but the mind shift towards when that's coming feels a lot differently when you're anticipating that as an obstacle or some obstacle versus being like, hey, I'm failing now. And I think that critical thought process is very, very different. But your final thoughts going into June? Yeah,
look, I think it's about not giving up. I think that really there's one thing I can tell you. We've all felt this. We feel it, and it can make you. It can be disheartening. It can make you feel like a failure. I want to give up. That moment of when the adversity hits, the moment of when you weren't ready for it, and there it is. And so I think, a lot of this is you've got to be ready to pick yourself back up. You've got to then say, hey, the next time around, I'm going to be ready for that obstacle. I'm going to be ready for that adversity, because we're facing a lot of it. The war in the Middle East, raising interest rates out of nowhere. The idea that literally now we have concerns about a potential Fed rate hike. When we look at the way traders are placing futures bets on the Federal Reserve, there's folks now that believe we could see a rate hike this year if things go wrong in the Middle East, and if things go wrong with energy prices and inflation and AI, all these different swirling. Nowhere was that on anybody's bingo card coming into this year, the idea of a potential Fed rate hike. So we just have to be ready we have to stay ready. We have to be ready to deal with that adversity that's coming. And we have to stay committed to our plan. I think that's really a big piece of this too, is the pivot. Your plan only fails if you give up. That's right. You can pivot that plan a million different times and continue to figure out how to make it work. The issue becomes when you actually give up. And a lot of the time people give up is that first adversity, that first moment of adversity, when they're not ready, then they abandon the plan, they give up, they don't stay true to it. And again, that's the beacon we want to be for all of you, because we understand we are in a tough spot right now as an industry. While there are folks seeing amazing results right now, there are folks seeing not so amazing results right now. And so we just all have to stay focused and keep pushing forward. One interesting nugget I'll share, and then I think we're going to leave you guys with the FallCon video that I wanted to show last week. So our fiscal year for LPT is actually up for June 30th. So part of the reason we're doing our planning now is our 2027 fiscal year starts on July 1st. And so, we're going to close these books on June 30th. Deloitte will then audit that. It'll be the third year that we will have Deloitte audit, which is a big milestone, for a company. And that's coming up June 30th. We close those books. We go through that process. We get a third year of audited financials. Really exciting stuff. And so that's part of why we're meeting right now. And so while a lot of people's years start in January, our year starts in July. And so we're very focused on what that next year looks like.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we are at the end of Motivational Monday. Excited to jump back into our executive retreat, plan what is next for LPT and how we're going to continue to deliver at the highest level for entrepreneurs. So
yeah. So again, I'm going to leave you with a video from FallCon. Make sure you grab those FallCon tickets. This is a great video from last year's FallCon event. And again, we're going even deeper this year. The deep dive on IDOS. We've got the 3 different ticket levels this year, right? So last year it was only the $1,000 conference ticket, which was the certification track. This year we've added a general admission ticket as well for $299 because we want to make FallCon as accessible as possible. And so right now, the choices you have to buy a ticket, you can buy a general admission ticket, $299. That does get you into the road to FallCon. You then have 2 ways to buy a certification ticket, which includes the 3 certifications with me, in addition to all the general admission content. $1,099 if you pay now, or $1,399 if you want to do pay at closing, where we deduct that from a future closing. Or there's still VIP tickets available out there at $25.99. So you can grab a FallCon ticket. I hope to see everybody there. I hope by doing something different here and having that general admission ticket, which is 1/3 the price of most brokerage conventions, we can really bring a massive amount of our family together. That was really important to us, that we make it as accessible as possible. Hotel rooms are super affordable at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida, $159 a night, $189 a night. Fought really hard to get those super low rates for our attendees. And with that, we're going to leave you with the amazing video from last year's FallCon. Hope everybody has an absolutely amazing week.
They say all real estate conferences are the same. Pools that glow, lobby bars that never sleep, badges and booths in endless rows. You fly in, learn a little, fly out, and Monday looks the same. But this one, before the doors even opened, the room felt different.
Just to see the approach walking down that hallway, as soon as I turned the corner and saw the great big FallCon, I knew that it was going to be absolutely amazing.
Closer, truer, built for candor and tools.
It's not just a convention where you're coming to get that free swag. You're actually coming and learning and leaving with certifications. I'm already blown away.
They crushed it. The hall's been busy the whole time. The vendors are thrilled. All around, it's just a huge win.
I've traveled all the way here from London to Orlando, Florida, to be part of this massive convention, FallCon 2025.
And then it happened. Rows shifted into circles. Not louder, clearer. Not talk, tools. Templates were traded for playbooks, and playbooks were turned into plans.
It is unbelievable, the amount of training that we're getting in just a condensed period of time. I'm excited.
Leadership didn't just wave from a stage. No, he stayed in the room.
He stood up there for 11 hours yesterday and he didn't stop. He just continued to give content, There's no script, he's not reading.
And with Robert writing all of these certifications and giving us the how, we have the best playbook to go back and blow up our business that I've ever seen.
I think anyone who doesn't come to something like this is absolutely insane.
Direction over noise. Conviction over intention. Some called it spiritual. Maybe it was.
It's amazing. It's been beautiful, beautiful experience.
It was like so refreshing to fall in love with real estate again.
What was shared here was clear, teachable, repeatable. We arrived as screen names and avatars. We left as family and friends. They say all conferences are the same. Let them say it. We know what happened here.